So Dad came up to me and said, "How do I stop yelling at my kids?" He said, "I keep losing my patience. I start off really good. I start off with just some soft requests, just saying, 'Hey, girls, can you do this? Can you do that?' And then I find myself escalating, getting louder, and pretty soon I'm yelling at my girls. And sometimes I'm actually just talking at the cupboards or at furniture, just trying to be funny and bringing a sense of humor into it. And it doesn't work. I end up yelling." Well, I want to give you 6 ways that you can stop yelling at your kids. It's hard to be patient, especially when there's so many demands. And the first thing that I told this dad was, don't repeat yourself. You don't need to do that. Now make sure, though, that you are getting your children's attention. And so that could mean, especially with young kids, you come up to them, you touch them on the shoulder, or you're having face-to-face contact and you're bringing the request there where they've heard it. And with kids, young kids especially, if you're much taller and you're speaking down to them, their fight, flight, or freeze response is there. They're kind of like, "Oh no, this is stressful, you're talking down to me." Get down on one knee and just say, "Hey, this is what you need to do." And you make it very clear and age appropriate. Sometimes we bring too many words to our kids and they're overwhelmed. They don't end up doing any of it, and then we get frustrated. Be sure that they are understanding what you're asking them to do. And then you don't repeat it. You say it once, and then if they don't do it, then the number 2 is you bring a correction. That means you need to be consistent, and sometimes it's even harder for us to give a correction than it is for our kids to receive the correction. We just don't want to have to correct them, but that correction will help you in the future be heard. And this is about creating a line of communication that is necessary between you and your child, even if it at the beginning is a little painful for you emotionally to have to correct your child. So that may mean losing a toy, it may mean losing a privilege, it may mean delaying something that they want to do, but be clear about what that consequence is going to be if they're not listening. And so when you give them that one request and it's very clear and they don't respond, and you give the correction and they complain about it, you go, "Hey, we agreed on this. This is what happens. We'll try again." And maybe with young kids, you say, "Hey, let's press rewind and let's try it again then. Here's the request." And then you practice it and they do what they were supposed to do. And then you go, "Hey, next time it looks like you got it." They still have the consequence that they have the learning moment. The dopamine is released for that, where they go, "Hey, next time my parent tells me to do something, I do it." And so maybe the first time's a grace moment with that young child. After that, you do need to be consistent with it. Then the next one is celebrating the moments that they do it right. When you tell them that they need to do something, they respond, they do it well, then bring that feedback as well as a parent. Let them know, "Hey, you did that well." And when you do that, you're creating a relational connectedness with your child. And so the celebration is number 3. Number 4 is that relational connectedness. Find ways to connect with your kids outside of demands. Remember to play with your kids. Sometimes as parents, we forget the playfulness that we've got. That part of us gets tucked away with all the demands, all the stress we've got. We lose our playfulness, and it's all about having control over everything. Lose some of that. Have some fun with your kids. Enjoy having them in front of you. And as you do that, as you build that relationship, more and more you have influence over boundaries and limits that you're giving your kids. And you'll find yourself yelling less because they are listening. Most of the time when parents are yelling, it's because they don't feel heard, and they keep escalating all the way to being heard. So that first one is so important, of not repeating, because what ends up happening is your kids learn to only respond when you're yelling, and they just wait for that. That's when actually their listening skills turn on. So again, it's do not repeat, and then you have clarity and correction as part of it, and then you're building a celebration and giving that feedback, and then you're building relationship with them. And then what you're doing is bringing compassion and gratitude. That means compassion towards the child, that they're not always going to be perfect, they're not going to get it right every time, and you bring a compassionate posture and gratitude that you get to guide them. Not, "Oh my goodness, here we go again." You're bringing gratitude and appreciation for their differences and appreciation for just the challenge of communication. And if you bring that mindset, it helps you be more patient. And man, it's so easy to go to that place of impatience. You've probably heard the story before in previous videos, and that's when my daughter melted a crock pot with her friend, and then I came into that. It was very frustrating, and I drank a whole glass of water. As I was drinking that water, I was looking outside the window and seeing my brain running all around, and I needed to catch it. And that was a good practice for me, to catch my brain. Patience gets squeezed out of us all day long, and we need to replenish that. And I just visualize this replenishing of my patience as I breathe and as I drink that water, and I picture me catching my brain, putting it back in there. It gives me plenty of time to think and then respond and think about, how do I want to show up? How do I want to build relationship with my child? What is the purpose of this? And so with this dad, as we were talking about these different things he could be doing, boy, it made perfect sense to him. And what I told him is, man, you're an intentional, loving dad. Remember that. Don't go to shame. You're not a bad person. You're not a bad parent. Just the fact that you're asking this question, wanting to yell less, shows that you love your kids, but you're also a human being. Have grace on yourself. And I love the fact that he's wanting to become more patient. And know that your brain goes towards what you're wanting to pursue. It wants to be told what to do. It doesn't do well with telling it not to do something. So if I told you, don't look at the things behind me, all of a sudden your perception is looking at what's behind me. Your brain needs to know where you want to go, what you want to look at. And so point it in that direction. Talk about with your spouse, or just write down, I want to be more patient. I want to bring compassion and gratitude and appreciation. And as you do that, you'll see those other rhythms going well for you. Hey, and if you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe to this channel. I've noticed that it continually is slowly growing, these subscribers to our channel, and that means our community is growing, and I want you to be a part of that. I'd love to hear more about what's going on with you, and maybe some questions that you've got that we could answer. And if I need to, maybe I need to invite another person with me to answer that specific question. So be sure to put those in the comments. We love having you here, and I'll see you again soon.